now do longer tenured bond, which is the kind of capital we need to develop the country.
So bottom line, there will be spin-off, there will be a domino effect.
Oh, absolutely. I expect that. I expect that. And this is part of one of the many things that is leading the NSIA to reallocate our investments more and more to domestic. I told you that up until middle last year, we were still sub 10% domestic investments. We're going to go north of 20% by the end of 2017. Absolutely. The economy is, most of the assets are undervalued in the economy. There's just too much negativity out there, and that's always a buying opportunity. And so that's how we see it. And this is one of those indicators, in my opinion, that says there is a little bit more resilience in the economy than people give it credit for.
So those doom and gloom prophets out there who are saying Nigeria's tanking, Nigeria's doing badly, they're wrong.
They always tend to exaggerate the situations. And that is really common in the market, right? Let's take oil, for example, right? 3 years ago, if you read any analyst report from Wall Street, it will say commodity super cycle, oil is going to be up for a very long time. And then a year and a half, 2 years later, is the end of the world. It's gone from $110 to $27. You know one thing, yeah? Warren Buffett always said, be greedy when everybody else is fearful, and be fearful when everybody else is greedy. And this is how we look at markets.
Yeah.
We go counterintuitive. We have said we have seen the Nigerian economy as a buying opportunity since 2016, and I maintain that. Everything is very inexpensive at the moment. Real estate is inexpensive. Stocks are inexpensive. The banking stocks are inexpensive. The bond market itself is inexpensive as well. So I think that people should be, if you sit back and think and have an investment horizon of 5, 7, 10 years, you should be buying. And so this is a market for investors, not a market for traders. If you want to trade, this is not a market for you. You're going to lose your shirt. But if you want to invest, this is an opportunity, and this is reward you get from the bond market.
Yeah. Bottom line, will the road shows continue, or is this a done deal and we move to the next one?
Well, it's priced now, right? So it's over. It's traded. And today, this morning, it's actually trading above the issue price.
Already?
Yeah, already. Yeah, it's trading at 101. It closed at 100, so it's trading above the issue price. So it's just nice. It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling for some of the businesses we're creating at the NSIA. So if you look recently, we created a business called InfraCredit. The job of InfraCredit is to provide monoline insurance for infrastructure bonds. So you want to build a road, you want to build a water utility, power plant, you can issue a bond. If it is rightly structured, the InfraCredit will provide some enhancements, providing insurance to that bond, a part of that bond. It brings in pension funds, brings in insurance companies into that kind of bond. This is a great signal for us because we can now have a way of pricing long-dated bonds. I think this is quite remarkable. And, congratulations to the Minister of Finance and to the entire team that sold this bond.
Yeah. Bottom line, there's plenty of money out there, isn't there?
Oh, yeah.
Just looking for a home, just looking for somewhere to...
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. People fail to realize the size of the capital markets out there. And the truth about it is the yields in developed markets is nothing, right? If you invest in parts of Europe today, you actually have to pay them for you to invest, right? It's negative yield.
Yeah.
You find that in Switzerland and some other markets today. And so you have in a market like Nigeria, 7.8% or 7.5%. For 15 years, I'll take it.
Any day.
Any day.
He's smiling all the way. Uche Orji.
Pleasure.
You called it, man. Well done.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Uche Orji, CEO of Nigeria's Sovereign Wealth Fund there, giving us some insights on the Eurobond, the very successful Eurobond. Now we're going to stay in Nigeria for this next story. And the government has announced that it is taking over troubled airline Arik Air. The Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON, obtained a court order to take over the country's largest carrier, saying it was, quote, too important to fail. Now, AMCON has said that grounding Arik Air would have caused a major catastrophe in the aviation sector, as well as the Nigerian economy. This is because Arik Air accounts for around 55% of domestic passenger traffic and operates a domestic, regional, and international flight network. Stay with us. We're going to take the first break of this hour. Plenty more ahead, including news from around the world, your business headlines, sports, and of course, all the entertainment news. Here's a gentle reminder. You're watching This Day live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're back in a moment.
Our customers are focused, versatile, superheroes. Our customers are also the most important people in our world. So we listen, partner, and give solutions that make a difference in their world. At First Bank, we will always put you first.
You first. First Bank.
The best way to predict the future is to create it. There's a special breed of achievers out there that are called tomorrow's people, the highly creative ones who live in the future. They imagine what will be and strive to make it happen. They're bold. They refuse to wait for the future. Tomorrow bends and conforms to their ideas. At Access Bank, we share the same sentiments. We've been able to grow our bank to become a leading player in Nigeria with a strong presence across the continent, adopting best practice in everything we do. Our mantra for success is simple: speed, service, and security. Those who shape tomorrow, strive for, and demand perfection. At Access Bank, our service culture of speedy response and drive for excellence is the blueprint for creating customer experiences that will echo for generations. Come, let's work together and take tomorrow.
You're with the Rise News in Abuja, Nigeria, and you're watching This Day Live with me, Jeff Koinange. Now, since 2009, Boko Haram has left more than 20,000 people dead and has led to the displacement of more than 2.5 million others in Nigeria's northern corridor. Many of those displaced live in camps for the internally displaced. Some of these camps, according to experts, have become dens for recruiting potential insurgents. Now, analysts are worried that more and more women and children are being recruited and turned into killers and suicide bombers. Now, a short while ago, I spoke to Dune Porter. She's UNICEF Nigeria's Chief of Communications based here in Nigeria. And I began by asking her how desperate the situation is in the displacement camps in northern Nigeria.
There is really terrible. It's a huge crisis, and it's one that's gone largely unreported, and most people in the world aren't aware of the crisis and the extent of the crisis. Yeah. Millions of people have been displaced. More than half of them are children, and children in any kind of situation like this are the most vulnerable. Yeah. In the three northeast states of Nigerian states alone, we estimate that 450,000 children this year will suffer from severe acute malnutrition. That makes them 9 times more likely to die from even an ordinary illness like malaria, which is very common.
June, tell me, why has the world forgotten this part of the world? What is it? The story's not sexy anymore, is that why?
I don't think it has ever been a big story internationally. There are a lot of other things going on in the world. And this is an area of the world that just has been a little bit forgotten, left unreported. Yeah. But it's vitally important that it is understood more widely. It's such a huge problem that no one government, no one organization can make a significant enough difference. We really need the world to mobilize around the humanitarian crisis in northeast Nigeria.
Yeah, what is security like over there? Because we hear stories every other week. A young lady, mostly, suicide bomber walking into a camp or attempting to walk into a camp and blow herself up. How safe or unsafe is it?
Well, this is a phenomenon that we're extremely concerned about. We don't even like to call them suicide bombers when they're children, because children have been forced or manipulated into, they're used in this way. These children are victims, they're not perpetrators. But there has been an alarming increase in the use of children in this way, even since the beginning of this year. Having said that, security is improving in other areas as well. We're now able to reach, with humanitarian assistance, more people in more areas in Borno State, which is the most acutely affected.
Yeah. Nigerian military has reported successful gains up there. What's it like? I mean, are they succeeding in driving Boko Haram out and making the place safer?
Well, as I said, there are more and more areas that we are able to reach with humanitarian assistance that we couldn't reach even a year ago, even several months ago. Constantly new areas are opening up that we can reach. Generally, we have to fly in with helicopters because the roads are not safe. There are frequent attacks on the roads. But it is encouraging that we're able to reach more people. Without more funding, of course, we're limited by that as well in terms of reaching people. And so that's something that we're constantly asking the world to support with increased funding as well as security. Those are the two challenges that we face on the ground in northeast Nigeria.
No doubt about it. UNICEF Nigeria's Chief of Communications there, June Porter, talking to us about the situation in the north. From northern Nigeria to Yemen, and the United Nations has launched an emergency appeal for $2.1 billion to provide food and life-saving aid for Yemeni civilians caught up in the chaos of the country's 2-year civil war. According to the UN, approximately 55% of the country's medical infrastructure is out of action, with the economy and vital civil institutions devastated. Around 12 million people are facing famine, including 2.1 million children already acutely malnourished. Let's take a look at this special report on Yemen, where hungry children have turned to begging.
14-year-old Ali Muhammad and his brother Majdi, 7, lost their father in an airstrike in August 2016. Now they roam the streets of Yemen's capital, Sana'a, wiping windshields. They earn about $3 a day, not enough to feed their mother and 8 sisters.
We used to live safely in Hajar province with my father, who sold cant for a living. One day he got sick and we took him to a Doctors Without Borders hospital. The hospital was hit by an airstrike and my father was killed. We moved to Sana'a 5 days after we buried him.
The brothers are among scores of Yemeni children orphaned by the war ravaging the country. Fighting between government forces and Iran-backed Shiite rebels who control the capital escalated in March 2015 with a military intervention by a Saudi-led coalition to support the government, taking a heavy toll on the country's youth.
Social and economic services for children have failed completely. Serious problems involving children are on the rise, like child beggars, the involvement of children in the conflict, girls working in the streets, and children quitting school.
The conflict has deprived 2/3 of Yemen's 26 million people of medical care. Food is also scarce. Here, 1 child dies every 10 minutes from disease or malnutrition, according to the UN.
The cases we receive are very serious. The children suffer from severe diarrhea. Some cases are very bad because of malnutrition at home, so their health deteriorates and they need to be hospitalized.
The UN also says 1,400 children have been killed since March 2015, a fifth of the total death toll. Many have had to resort to begging, swarming the streets of Sana'a to survive, victims of a devastating war which shows no sign of abating.
On that note, we're going to take a quick short break. Plenty more ahead. Do stay with us. All the business headlines, including stocks, bonds, oil prices, all coming up. Here's a gentle reminder. You're watching This Day live from Abuja, Nigeria. We're back in a moment.